Well, good morning, my friends. It's your old pal Jordan the Lion, and here we are at the gates of Graceland. Today, not exactly an Elvis vlog, but it does have something to do with a monumental moment that happened while on a visit here. They got Sam KINISON on Johnny Carson's Tonight Show. Daze with Jordan the Lion begins now. Now in 1989, Sam KINISON was one of the biggest comedians in the world. He was touring all over the United States with a couple of his friends, and they were friends with a man named Terry Presley, who claimed to be Elvis's third cousin, and if they came here with him to Graceland, they could get a private tour of Elvis's home. So Carl said when they came through Memphis on their tour, they stopped here and Terry made good on his word. He brought them to Graceland. They got to do a private tour of the entire house. And then Carl said this is where everything changed for the better for history. See, when I say Carl, I mean Carl LaBove, comedian Carl LaBove. He was Sam KINISON's best friend. He was Sam KINISON's opening act for most of his career. And even in the end, he was in a car following Sam KINISON, in a car that ended up killing Sam KINISON's life. But Carl said that once they finished the tour inside Graceland, they had their tour bus parked over by the Lisa Marie. So let's go over to the Lisa Marie. So Carl said the second part of the tour, where Terry was going to bring him over to walk through the Lisa Marie, he said he didn't really have that much interest in that. So while everyone else, Sam and all the other guys, were touring the Lisa Marie, he said, I walked across the street and they had some souvenir shops. And he said one was a place called 31 Flavors of Song. And Carl went into the 31 Flavors of Song, recorded an Elvis song. And I believe right over here is where that souvenir shop was that was called 31 Flavors of Song. Now Carl said when you went in there, they had about 5 Elvis songs with the actual Jordanaires backing you up, and you could pay and you could sing these songs and they would give you a cassette recording from it. So he said he went in and he did Don't Be Cruel, and when he came back, he said he walked over beside the Lisa Marie where they parked the bus, got on the bus and said, guys, you gotta see what I just did. And he put the tape in, started playing it, and they all started laughing. They loved it. And they said, what, that's you singing that? Where'd you record that? And he said, right across the street. So Sam decided to go over there and he did Are You Lonesome Tonight? He recorded the very first time, he recorded Are You Lonesome Tonight? And then when it got down to the breakdown, the real slow part, he started in with what we would eventually know, because he would end up doing it on the Tonight Show, where he does the You Never Loved Me, You Lied, and then at the end he would go, I hope you die. So they went in this 31 Flavors of Songs, recorded Sam's cassette, and then that night they performed in Memphis. Once Carl was done doing his set, in between him and Sam, they decided as a joke on the audience and as a little homage to Elvis that they would put in that cassette, and all of a sudden the music starts playing. No one knows what's going on. Nobody knows that it's not Elvis. Sam starts singing the song, everyone's enjoying it, and then he gets to that middle part and everyone loses it. The whole crowd starts laughing and they know that this is something that not only was an inside joke to them, but other people are gonna get. So now we're going to head off to Los Angeles. I actually filmed this about 3 months ago when I thought I was coming to Graceland the last time and the trip got canceled. And we will continue the story in Los Angeles. All right, we are back in Los Angeles for part 2 of this Sam KINISON story. Driving down Santa Monica Boulevard. So Sam KINISON, Carl LaBove, and the rest of the Outlaws were finished with their tour and they were back here in Los Angeles. And one thing you have to understand about Sam is that he was kind of shunned by the mainstream comedy world. And that's a lot of the reason why he went on his own direction, went this rock star route of going on the road, doing these big venues and everything, because at the time, the booker, the comedy, or I guess you would say the talent booker for the Tonight Show, Jim McCauley, hated Sam and did not want to have Sam on the show. And so Sam just said, well, screw him, I'll go off and do my own thing. Until they came back from that trip and they were actually at where we are now, the former location of the Palm Restaurant. Now, as you can tell, it is no longer the Palm Restaurant. In fact, it looks like we are a day late and $1 short. They have destroyed the building. There's now a new location over on Cannon Drive, but this is where this story happens. They came back from the tour. Sam had, at the time, the Palm Restaurant here had a lot of famous caricatures on the wall, and it was a major celebrity hangout. And so Sam's caricature had been put on the wall. He had his own Sam Kinison booth, and he and Carl were here enjoying a meal when all of a sudden the maitre d' came up to him and said, Mr. Kinison, Mr. Carson would like you to come join him in the back. There was a table in the back where Johnny Carson apparently would always have his meals, and Sam went back there for a while Carl stayed out at their table. And eventually Sam came and said, Carl, I want you to meet Johnny Carson, and he took him back there. And Carl said, as soon as we walked in, I hear Johnny say, so you'll do this show next Thursday. And that was it. For the first time, Sam was going to do the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. And here's what's crazy, is that they had been carrying around this cassette, playing it for friends, of what Sam had recorded at their 31 Flavors of Songs in Memphis. And Carl said, hey, let Johnny hear the song. And so Sam goes, oh yeah, good idea, and pulls the tape out, gives the cassette to Johnny Carson and says, oh, this is something that we recorded just for fun. And Johnny Carson took it and said, I'll call Jim McCauley and we will have you booked for next Thursday. Now the next day, Sam Kinison gets a phone call from Johnny Carson and the Tonight Show, and well, not Johnny Carson himself, but the Tonight Show staff, saying, Johnny doesn't want you to do stand-up. He wants you to perform that song. And so Sam got excited and said, holy cow, this is gonna be great, because then I can do the song, it'll be great, and then I can also come back later and do stand-up. And that's basically what ended up happening. Sam had his sights set on doing Are You Lonesome Tonight on the Tonight Show. So Sam and Carl left the Palms restaurant, and in the days leading up to their performance, got some drugs and started partying, and all of a sudden Sam started to get a little bit paranoid at the thought of him performing this song by himself on stage on the Tonight Show. So Carl LeBove came up with a great idea. He said, hey Sam, why don't you have us, the Outlaws, be your Jordanaires? We'll get the gold lame costumes, we'll rent them or something, and we can do this song and be your backup band. Then you don't have to do it alone, and we know each other because we've been on tour, and it'll be great. So that's what Sam decided to do, and he didn't want to use the Tonight Show band, so he hired his own band. So now instead of just Sam Kinison performing on the Tonight Show, it was going to be Sam Kinison, Carl LeBove, the two other Outlaws, and a backing band. Goodbye to the former location of the Palms restaurant. I'll show you a picture of what their walls used to look like in here, right here. Alright, so off we go to Burbank. Now we're passing by Warner Brothers on our way to NBC, former NBC. As you can see here on the sign, times have changed. It's no longer NBC Studios, it's now the Burbank Studios, but we are here. Here you can see some of the NBC lot. So it's the day of the performance, the day of the big show, the day Sam has been waiting for his whole life. You see, that's not actually really an exaggeration, because from the time that Sam was doing any kind of comedy, he literally had a dream that he would tell Carl LeBove about as they would kind of go through the ranks here in Hollywood doing comedy clubs and things, not having cars walking the streets. Sam would tell Carl that he had a reoccurring dream of being on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson and finishing his performance and looking over and seeing Johnny hunched over, like bent over laughing and pounding the table. And so that's something that Sam had always wanted, and for, at the time, you know, this talent booker did not like Sam. They said it was Jim McCauley. He just didn't like Sam, and that was kind of crushing one of Sam's biggest goals. So this performance was going to be big. Sam had told everyone he knew that he was going to be doing Elvis Presley's Are You Lonesome Tonight on Johnny Carson. Right over here off to the side you can see stage one, the entryway to stage one. We are here. So many memorable and magical moments of the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson happened here, but tonight was Sam's night. Johnny had personally invited Sam to do this. So Sam shows up with his 3 outlaw comedians, aka his Jordanaires, and a 3-piece band. So 7 people instead of just Sam by himself. So they set up everything and they start practicing on the stage when Jim McCauley walks out and says, "Whoa, Sam, what is this? We booked you, we didn't book all these other guys. We're not paying all these guys. It's just you." Sam looks at him and says, "Oh, okay, great. Come on guys, we're not doing the show. We're out of here." And Sam starts walking off. The 3 Jordanaires start walking off. The band members walk off. They go backstage, they start putting everything away, packing up their gear. And apparently Jim McCauley must have went, you must speculate that he must have went and told Johnny what had happened, because while the guys are packing up their things, Jim McCauley comes in and tells Sam, "You know, I'm really sorry, Sam. You know, there's been a misunderstanding. You know, generally things have to always go through, you know, a certain chain of events for them to happen, you know, having extra band members and extra people we got to pay. I didn't realize that you had, you know, already cleared all this with Johnny." And like Carl LeBeau said, he said, you know, Sam learned from working at the Comedy Store, watching, you know, different people that were performing there, not to give in, that the talent had the power. And when Sam was told, you know, it's just you, not these other guys, to Sam, that was basically a guy who had kept him off this show for years, now saying, even though you're on the show, I'm still going to show you who has the power. And now Jim McCauley had to come and apologize to Sam and tell him, absolutely, the full band, the Jordanaires, everyone can perform. And Sam got to do it. Sam went out there, he performed that song with his backup band, with his Jordanaires. When he got into the breakdown, he did his "You Never Loved Me," gets into all that. The crowd went crazy. The lights come up, Sam looks over at Johnny, and Johnny is hunched over the table, pounding the table, just like in Sam's dream. And Carl LeBeau tells this story on the Comedy Store podcast and says, you know, Sam started to tear up there because this was like his moment. This is what he had always wanted, and he was seeing his dream literally come true right before his very eyes. Now Carl LeBeau himself would end up performing on The Tonight Show as well, not with Johnny Carson, but Jay Leno. He knew Jay Leno from the Comedy Store. Carl said, I mean, Jay knew me from when I was parking cars there, and kind of a funny story that Carl LeBeau said that he was booked on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno and ended up getting bumped like 2 or 3 different times. Back in the days before cell phone, he called all of his family and friends, told him he was going to be on, and then time after time the guest or a segment would run long and he wouldn't get to perform. So he said the time that he came back and he finally got to do it, Jay had a big gift basket waiting for him with like a basketball and a big boom box and everything, and it said, "I promise you'll be on the show tonight." Kind of crazy that you wouldn't have a statue of Johnny Carson or Jay Leno or really anyone that was kind of responsible for making this studio famous. Incidentally, I've been here before. It's where the Elvis 68 comeback special was filmed, so I vlogged that here. But yeah, you'd think they would want to show their history more. Well, my friends, that is it. What a crazy story. How becoming friends with Elvis's third cousin and a trip to Graceland on a private tour could end up getting you on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, performing an Elvis song and fulfilling a dream that you had. Literally a dream. Awesome. All right, my friends, we're gonna call it a day. I wanna thank Greg Schaefer and Jeremy Holbrook for becoming my newest Patreons. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all next time. Have a great night, and goodbye.